Hey there. I guess this is my first attempt at a video blog, journal, something. Just had these things I've been thinking about for quite some time, and now that I'm getting my business up and running, I figured I would create some content and see how receptive folks are to who I am and what my views are on all things related to health and wellness. So let's get to it. Health and wellness. What is health and wellness to me? Well, what it is now and what it was even 5 years ago are completely different. And let me first say that what health and wellness is for me and what health and wellness is for you and what X, Y, and Z practitioners say, it's all relative. It's like everything is in our life. It's all bio individual. So it's how receptive we are as individuals to how we do things in our life. So, yeah, like I said, health and wellness to me 5 years ago, even up to that point, growing up in the 70s, born in the 70s, eating and growing up eating a standard American diet, which anyone that doesn't know what that is basically eating anything at any point, not really fully grasping the nutritional content of it. A lot of processed oils, a lot of grains, a lot of breads, um, not even having any concept of what organic was back then, but things weren't labeled organic and conventional like they are now. And that's just too bad. Things back in the 70s and 80s, there were conventional approaches being used a lot, and nobody, unless you were immersed in the health world, nobody really knew, and nobody's to fault for it. My parents aren't, schools aren't. Um, we were just a part of the system that convenience was popular, and we followed that trend. Unfortunately, I followed that trend for many, 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 many years. I'm 47 now, and I basically super cleaned up my diet over the past 3 years. I had been somewhat health minded for about 10, making some better decisions, but I what I do now compared to what I did even 5 years ago, 360, two full two full turns. Um, so yeah, I think again what I thought health was 5 years ago was not getting sick and trying to exercise, but was I exercising for health or was I exercising for vanity? Probably a little of both, to be honest. And you know, um, eating wasn't high on my list. I knew Atkins diet, the dieting strategies resonated with me in a sense. I was more doing staying physically active just because was active in some sports and just trying to buck the trend and stay physically fit as far as my outside. Um, but as time went on, my social drinking, my poor eating, so many things caught up to me. I was one of those people that didn't respond well to alcohol. Still drank it all the time. Got hangovers a bunch, and just thought it was normal. Took a bunch of ibuprofen all the time, and I also had some GI issues. And I not to share too much detail, but I was going to the bathroom all the time, and I think like many people I know, people thought and think still that that's normal, and I wasn't willing to accept that anymore as normal. So, it took some time, took some thought, took some unfortunate incidents. Whatever it took, it got me to where I'm at now. And about 2.5, 3 years ago now is when I decided to make this shift. And it started with me for not drinking. And then it progressed into, well, what can I do now? What can I do to really take my body to the next level? And I started studying nutrition and opened my eyes to a whole new world. Now, mind you, like many things out there are certain people that have certain viewpoints on certain things. So this goes to my health and wellness kind of summary is what somebody else tells you what health and wellness is doesn't necessarily mean that's going to equate to your own health and wellness. So I can't stress that more, and that's the importance of why I want to work in this industry is I want to help people find their path into health and wellness. So enough. You're probably like, all right, so what is health and wellness to you, Andrew? Well, health and wellness. Health goes to so many levels. Again, nutritionally, eating how I do it, it's predominantly organic. It's buying local. It's grass fed, pasture raised meats. Finding as close to the source as possible, knowing your vendors, just being responsible in many ways. It goes to so many levels though. Just buying the food is just the beginning for me. It's again knowing the source, prepping it in a mindful way, eating it in a mindful way, being appreciative of everything that it has to do and where it came from, and understanding that just because you're having a grass-fed piece of meat or just because you're eating a stalk of broccoli doesn't necessarily equate to getting all of the nutrients out of that. There's so many layers to our bodies, and that's where it gets complicated, and that's where people can spin out of control, and that's where I feel you got to find balance. And even 2 years ago, this is where I was at. I was spinning out of control. I was trying to eat so much, trying to make these super crazy smoothies, putting 25 different things in it, trying to get all my nutrition. And for me, it took trial and error, it took experimentation, and I got to where I'm at now. And I'm always learning, and it's again finding balance, checking in with myself is the biggest part. Here's the big theme that I will just fast forward to, and we'll circle back to some other things that I'm doing in my life. But intuitive, intuitive, meaning being intuitive in anything we do in our life, being intuitive with eating, understanding when you're hungry, when you're not hungry, being intuitive with exercising, being intuitive with other activities in your life. If you're pushing yourself to do something and it feels during or after that it was something that you should not have done, well, maybe your intuition was telling you not to do it. So this is a lot that has to do with dieting and dieting strategies, and even more so fasting strategies. Like, if you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. If you don't feel well, figure out ways to feel better with natural approaches. That's my feeling. And let's circle back to getting into the health. So nutrition, one component of it. That's the foundation of a big picture here is nutrition. Exercise. Well, what is exercise? What exercise is to me and what exercise is to anyone else is going to be different. For my 75, 80-year-old parents, going outside and playing in the dirt and doing some gardening or doing some housework, that's exercise for them. Trying to not be sedentary all day, every day. Getting up, moving their bodies. I may have to push mine a little more, and that's okay. And it's me knowing my body and being intuitive to say, get up, walk around, stretch. Listening to our bodies is a huge component to all of this. So, again, exercise could be walks, could be going to the gym, could be riding a bike, could be just playing sports. There's so many different variables to exercise, and this is another category we could dive deep into, and I probably will on another one of these. But let's continue to health. Let's just go. That is what I think predominantly people think health. They think exercise, food. Wellness to me now, even more so than ever. I think one of the bigger ones, sleep. Sleep goes to everything we need in our life to build a healthy foundation for everything we do. So, yet another subject that there's been thousands of articles, hundreds of books, experts here, experts there. Most agree sleep is important. So that is the bottom line for me, is getting good sleep, following all the protocols out there as best as you can to put in practice how to get good sleep. Now, again, those are the basics. So those are the things we've probably heard of for forever. Get good sleep, take good care of yourself, don't drink, don't smoke, exercise, eat well, fine. Now, some other things that are really new to me that have been life changing, game changing, are mindful practices. Mindfulness. When I grew up, even yoga, I was of even 10 years ago, things like that wouldn't even get on my radar. I'd be like, that's kooky, that's weird. Now, I couldn't imagine my life without it. Love yoga. I love meditation. I meditate multiple times a day. Journaling, breath work, they are all part of my repertoire, and they are a huge part of my journey, and I love all of them. I love what they bring to my life. They enrich my life, and I think that's a huge part of wellness. Now, other components that people will never think of is, and there's been many articles written about it and a lot of science to back it up, is being a part of a community. Thousands and thousands of years ago, and even now, we are all part of a community. We're all part of a tribe. So having that community support, having those relationships are so very important. Creating that sense of community, that sense of human interaction, and balancing your life with that, not being in isolation, is a big component to wellness as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is being recorded during the pandemic, and being a part of a community is really difficult, especially having that human touch, which is also very important. Human touch right now, not so much. But we're fortunate to have what I'm doing here, recording on technology. Zoom has been amazing. For me, I'll give you a personal story. For Zoom, my father was turning 80 this year. I was going to go and have this awesome surprise party. Pandemic came, super bummed. Well, what was I able to do? I did a surprise Zoom party. I invited a bunch of people that have never, ever, ever been under one single quote unquote roof together. And it was one of the most amazing days I've ever had. And it allowed me to reconnect with some family members that I haven't talked to in a long time. And I've continued those relationships. So thank you, technology, for that. I think it's really provided an opportunity right now for us to all come together. And side note, I just think that it is also a crutch for us, and finding that time once all of this passes to get back to one-on-one meetings, physical touch, community gatherings, phones away. That's another part of wellness for me, is having balance with technology. So to summarize, health and wellness to me is kind of where I just was. It's eating well, eating mindfully, mindful practices, finding time for exercise, finding time for connection, finding time for community, putting myself in a position day in, day out to understand how important self-care is to me, in order for me to take care of myself so I can support others in my life. Filling my heart with things that I love doing and people I love being around is a huge part of health and wellness to me. And I hope this sheds some light on who I am and what health and wellness is to me. And I would love to have the opportunity to explore health and wellness with any of you, and just have a conversation about it. See what's important to you and what you feel you could do differently to improve your health, or what health is to you, or improve your wellness, or what wellness is to you. And once again, there is no right or wrong answer. It's what fits for you. And I support that. So thank you for joining me. This is how you will normally see me: cut off shirts, a hat, and just being me. This is the authentic me. And I so appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this, get to know me a little bit more, find out who I am, what's important to me. And obviously, health is important to me, but first and foremost, it's family, it's my connections, it's my community, it's people, it's relationships. That is what I wholeheartedly believe health and wellness is built on. Who we are, why we're here, is to support one another in this journey through this oftentimes chaotic, crazy world. But that's what we're here for. Lift one another up, push through, get to the other side, keep going. One day at a time, one breath at a time. Thank you all. Love y'all. Be good. Take care.